Man, it was incredible. So today we had a seminar, and there's so much that I want to touch on. I'd like to start with obviously gratitude. Thank you for everything that you do for all of us. It's remarkable and it's so moving and inspiring to see like the impact that it's able to have on this room. So I could only imagine the impact that if we keep on the same road, the impact that it can have towards the world and all of the communities that we have in our city and things like that. So again, thank you. It's amazing. How how has it been for you to be able to spot when it is that we veer off of our path or our journey, because there's so many of us, and I can only imagine that it's like you've got to pick small details from each of us. So I saw, and I could tell from today that you wanted to really recenter everything. You know what I mean? And so, what inspired that for you?
Behavior, choices, decisions. That's what it comes down to. The question is, are someone's behavior being consistent? And as soon as I spot an inconsistency, I ask myself, how come? And if it's an inconsistency that's getting rid of a bad behavior, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can understand that it's going to lead to, let's say, more bad behavior, that's different. I step in and I just give my observation and I give choices. Then the next is by choices. Every day we're based, we're faced with different choices. So depending on how people are choosing to go about their day, choosing how to handle situations, choosing how to go and the best way to explain it is, if I do this, is this gonna be a good outcome or a bad outcome? So when I see bad choices being made, then I also understand it's time to pull someone back and have a conversation. Because that's the thing, we ultimately need people to hold us accountable. Love is challenge. So who's really gonna have that tough conversation? And I'm always willing to have that conversation right away. I don't wait, because what about if you give someone 3 or 4 days of bad choices, bad behavior? And then lastly, decisions. When we make decisions, they're final. So am I going to allow someone to make some bad final decisions? The decision can be, and that's the difference between a choice and decision. Choices we get every day, but they're never permanent. Decisions are permanent.
Mm-hmm.
Do I leave this job? Do I take this new job? Am I in the right relationship? Am I in the wrong relationship? Decisions are permanent. When you make a decision, that means that you have to give it some serious thought.
Yeah.
You're not choosing whether you're going to eat pizza or chicken and rice. No, decisions have long-term effects on your life. So those are my three tells. And once I see those tells, that's when I step in. Because all I'm doing is what I wish somebody would have done for me. When I was younger, I was unconscious. I was living, a fun, wild life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't regret it because everything that's happened in my past I've learned from. It's become my wisdom. And what does that mean? And this is very important. Let's break it down. When we go and we're born into this world, it's either, we have ignorance because we don't know anything, or we live in an illusion what we think the world is. So the most important thing to do is to discover truth. We have to discover truth.
Now, there's a difference between that and true, isn't there?
100%. True, that can be changed. You know, today, let's say someone can go and say my favorite car is a Honda. That's true. But tomorrow they can say my favorite car is a BMW. Now that's the new truth. But truth itself is timeless. It's timeless truth. It's absolute. So our next job, once we discover truth, then is to accumulate knowledge. And knowledge is the accumulation of truth. Right? But it's so important that we don't stop there. Because there's a huge difference between someone with intellect and someone with wisdom. That, you know, people with intellect, they could know a million facts. They could know all this information.
Yeah.
But if you can't create with it, what does it mean? You know? Then comes the assimilation of the truth. And that's when we reach understanding. Once we assimilate the truth. And that right there is a prerequisite for wisdom. That's the maturation of truth. And then once you have wisdom, that means that you are putting truth into application. And that's wisdom. Good discernment, good judgment, observation. Everything that you decide, everything that you do is always moving towards the better. Because if knowledge gets rid of ignorance, wisdom gets rid of foolishness. Wisdom is what we use when we are in the world and going into action, into doing, into creating. When we are in our awareness, the more wisdom you have, the better you are in real time situations of making decisions to make sure that things come out to success. So what does that mean? If I'm doing a public speech, that's in real time. Right? That's my wisdom. If one of my programs is running at school and I've developed my guys, that's my wisdom that develops them. I'm able to go and just stand back and get to see the fruit grow because I've developed the wisdom to produce fruit, to produce people that do the right thing. And what do I mean by that? Well, what we know, imagine that's a seed of truth.
Okay.
That we put into ourselves. Then meaning is the water that feeds that grows that fruit into a tree, which is the understanding. The understanding, with that, you grow a strong tree. Because once we assimilate the truth, once we understand, that means that we can apply the truth and then awareness is born, which is the fruit.
Yeah. That's
and
fascinating.
What we do is we plant seeds into other people's consciousness of truth so that they may grow, because we have epiphanies and these moments and these realizations, those aha, oh, I get it now. That's because something or someone has implanted some truth in us and that we've finally been able to identify. And that's wisdom.
You were mentioning a second ago, and I was able to experience that through sharing and conversating here after the seminar. And it's fascinating because we're able to see how individuals can have a perception of themselves sometimes where they feel limited or they feel as though they aren't doing enough. And I'm grateful because seeing that in front of me and being able to center them and give them a new reality onto what it is that they're experiencing, knowing that I was once there at some point at their exact same age. And it's like, at least seeing the amount of clarity that they do have, like, yeah, they're trying for more and maybe they're taking for granted the things that they are doing and accomplishing. And it's like, wow, that's so remarkable because you're so much younger than I am. And I feel like I'm young and I have so much to go for still, especially looking at you as the model in front of me. So it's like, it also gives me hope and relief in the same time. It's like, okay, I know exactly what I can tell you for you to understand that what you're doing and what you're going to be capable of doing, it's expanding, it's growing behind the scenes. Be okay with that because you don't see it all yet. And so that's fascinating because, man, for me, I feel like, wow, what is that lending to my growth? You know what I mean? So I think that's what's so remarkable in this environment that is being created, is that being able to give that perspective to these to people.
Well, that what you're seeing is human conditioning. So first, let's talk about what you did. You were able to empathize and feel what they feel, and then you showed compassion to relieve the suffering that you have become free from already. Because you experienced it, you understand it, so then you can help. But now, let's talk about what the human conditioning is.
Okay.
And that's a psychology. It's a mindset. We have fixed mindsets and growth mindset. So when someone is been conditioned with a fixed mindset to have fear, to have anxiousness, to have doubt, to not believe, false values, false principles, it's another ball game. Because now, even though that person is doing all the right things, it doesn't change their mindset. It's scarcity. They don't feel abundance. Mm-hmm. So they're seeing that glass half empty, not half full.
Yeah.
Right? And look at it like this, right? There's a pessimistic view and then there's an optimistic view. But the real goal of life is to get to a realistic view with an optimistic outlook.
Okay.
Because you also need to see the world as it is. But what you're doing for that human being is you're helping them see more. You're helping them to see that, because this is also the problem. You could be doing all the right things. You could do all the work in the world. But I promise you, if you're focusing on what you lack, you're going to lose what you have.
Wow.
Because you're showing your mind that you're lacking. So your mind is going to create the world around you lack. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be able to see opportunities. It's going to start losing things. It's going to start self-destructing because you're subconsciously training yourself to lack.
Wow. It's powerful.
Even when you're doing all the right things and all the hard work. Because your external world is a reflection of your internal world. And if that's the feeling that you're feeling, right, and those are emotions you're focused on and the thoughts, your reflection out here from your conditioning, that's what it's going to look like. So that's what you're going to attract. Yeah. You're going to attract people who are going to comfort you in your lack. Or if you try to approach people because they see that, you're not going to get opportunity. So what you really need to do is focus on abundance, being grateful, gratitude. Focus on what you have so you can gain what you lack. Because now you're abundant. But the reality is, let's take even a step further, right?
Yeah.
You lack nothing. You already have everything. Yeah. The reality is, don't focus on what you lack because you lose what you have. and focus on what you have, and you're gonna attain more because you already have it all.
Yeah, that's precisely. And it's funny because you mentioned it also in the seminar. Like, we have 100-fold what kings and queens used to have, however many years ago. And so,
Yeah, 100 years ago, we have more than the kings and queens used to have 100 years ago. We live in the most comfortable age of humanity. There's never been this level of comfort. Come on, Amazon Prime.
but therein lies a problem as well.
It's everything because we're not meant to be comfortable. And the reality is we expand through challenge. We expand through obstacles. We expand through adventure from doing what we don't know. And if you want to learn what you need to know, you're gonna learn it we're in a place where you don't know anything.
Yeah.
Because that's what it comes down to. If you cannot show your mind and expose your mind to different experiences that open up your mind and have different conversations with different types of people at different levels of intellect and wisdom, you're not gonna see more. Mm-hmm. Routine is the killer of the human spirit. Routine. That's simple. It's not even complicated. If you do the same thing every day, you can't expect a different outcome.
Yeah.
So the question is, what we have to really look at is what kind of routines do we need to make for ourselves to keep reaching a little bit further to where we want to be. But you're not going to go from step 1 to step 100. You got to go step 1, 2, 3, 4. Because people overestimate what they can do in 6 months to a year all the time.
Yeah.
But they underestimate what they can do in 5 to 10 years. Everything that's worth anything in life takes time. And you have to build it with your hands. 2 reasons why. You want to build a company, right? If it's given to you, then you don't know what's going on. But if you build it one stage at a time, then you know every stage like the back of your hand. So then you can actually direct and develop people.
Yeah.
Then number 2, nobody wants to hear about what you think you're going to do. And nobody's going to want to hear from you if you were given a successful company already. People only want to hear from people that did.
Right.
They want to hear what you did because therein lies the formula of the success.
They took the action.
They did the doing.
Yeah.
They did the labor. They built it with their own hands. So then you can talk about what you did. But the only way to do something is to move, to take a step, to take an action.
Yeah.
Life is simple. Just move.
You sent me a video earlier this week that I found tremendously encouraging and, empowering. And I feel like a lot of what was mentioned there is the doers, the people that are taking action, they're on that path that's less traveled. They're not on the path that has the signs lit up and they have the comfortabilities and all of these things. And that's what makes that path challenging. Like, how have you found other instances or other people that you've come across that are on that path to either help you forward or to shine more of that light on, okay, you're on the right path?
That's huge because that goes back to Robert Frost's 2 roads diverge in the woods. Mm-hmm. And I have taken the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. The hard road is the way. Yeah. And whenever you got a fellow journeyman, a fellow traveler, it's resonance. It's automatic. You know.
Yeah.
because nowhere's no. Nowhere's. The conversation, it builds. It's a connection and it's a sharing of information because to transcend, right? Transcendence is to transcend your circumstances. That's greatness. Greatness is taking a human being that these are the circumstances and they're able to go higher than those circumstances.
Yeah.
That's what greatness is. So greatness knows greatness. Because in the day, two people that have done and transcended, they're going to talk about what they did. And they're going to exchange information. And they're going to stay connected. Ultimately, right, the way the law of attraction works is you get so good at something that you don't have to even look for opportunity because people are going to talk about you. They're going to talk about your work.
Yeah.
They're going to talk about what a great job you do. The ultimate social media is word of mouth.
Wow. Yeah.
That's the ultimate social media.
Wow.
So instead of focusing on this, that, no, just focus on getting great at one thing. And guess what? You could be the greatest in the world, but if you never served anybody, then nobody's gonna know.
Yeah.
So go give it out for free. Who cares? Get your name out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then don't hold back on the value. Give all the value you got.
That's major.
2 reasons why.
Okay.
Number one, when you give all the value you have, you're synthesizing your value. So you're making it better. So your value is evolving anyway.
It's powerful.
So give it your all. And number two, if you give someone only 50% of what you can do, they're only going to be able to talk about 50% of what you can do.
This is true.
And then you can always have more because you can be more. But you cannot be more without practicing the craft. How can you get better at the craft that you don't practice? So if you're in the beginning step, go do whatever you can do to practice.
To take that action. To do.
Yeah, because it's over time that you're able to see more. You can't just see more automatically. It happens over time. That's what life is. Find something you love and work over time. Because look at the NBA. A perfect example is they're all amazing players, right?
Yeah.
But yet Michael Jordan during his time could still see more. Over time.
Yeah.
Aristotle, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act. You're not an imposter. It's not an actor. But a habit, what you do every day.
Yeah, it's so amazing because I mean, I feel like innately though, we have the will to not give up, that resilience, because I see you could see it and it reflects in children, especially very young children. They'll get up, they'll fall, they'll get up, they'll fall, they'll get up, time and time and again, and nothing holds them back, it feels like.
Or it goes back to conditioning. Who's that parent, who's that teacher who says, no, you can't do that. No, don't do that.
Yeah.
No, this isn't good. Yeah. They take the creativity, they take the child spirit away. Children are meant to be free. Let them explore.
Yeah.
Let them be curious.
Yeah. I reflect on that so often. It's like every time that I feel like I'm giving an ounce too much of coddling to my son, it's like, oh, I have to reset that. I can't, because it's like, man, what am I doing? Is I'm limiting him.
Well, that's the reality of life. Like life is hard. Life is uncertain. Life is mystery. Life changes all the time. But what we can do is be prepared.
Yeah.
What we can do is prepare ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, with relationships. So when things happen, we are at least prepared to respond. That's what it's about. And then just acceptance. Accept the things that you cannot change and accept the things that you can. And always move forward. Don't look back. Just move forward. One foot after the other. While looking at life and situations, the best that you can see in it. And even people, see the best in people. Whether it's there or not, see the best in people and life and situations. Because ultimately, you're at least creating the best perception, which is going to then create the best outcomes.
Yeah. I feel like that's a lot of the perspective of not taking things personal when you understand, like, hey, this individual, you know.
Well, I'll take you even further. Let's take responsibility for that, because if we see, I use the parable of soil. If I see that that's not good soil to plant a seed in, why am I planting there?
Right.
And then the question is, what's wrong with my wisdom that I couldn't discern or judge that was a bad idea to plant there? Why couldn't I see the signs? So the question is, how do I get better?
Yeah. Yeah, reflecting.
Of course. So you can't take things personal, because then you're not learning. The idea is to constantly learn, and eventually that's a mastery, how you pick and grow people. I always say I'll take drive over talent any day.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to convince drive to go do. Talent, ego can be born.
Yeah.
And I don't want to deal with ego, because egos themselves, they don't contribute. I only want to deal with people that contribute. Because if I'm going to give everything that I am, I want to know that that person is also going to keep passing it forward.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's key too to that, is understanding that anything that's given to you, it's with love and compassion, and that should be passed on.
Is it even yours? Like, what I give is not even mine.
Wow.
The reality is, right? I was given a responsibility and a gift. So I'm using it, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do with it.
That's big.
The stuff just comes to me. So I just, I pour it out.
Yeah.
But it's not like I'm here thinking about, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, or this opportunity is going to come my way and this is going to happen. No. So if I'm given, this amazing value, it's because I have responsibility to give it.
Yeah.
I can tell you, the moment I don't give it, I'm sure I'll stop receiving it. Because that means that I'm not honoring my responsibility, my gift.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not mine to keep or to use for personal gain.
That's fascinating. I know that you haven't found it incredibly challenging per se. You feel like you walk into those things. You see somebody in need, you're quick to give to them.
I'm duty bound.
Yeah.
That's part that comes with the contract of my gift. I can't turn a blind eye.
Yeah.
Because it's not that I just see it, I also feel it. When I see someone suffering on their vessel, on their body, like, it's not, if I know I can pour, if I know the water I give is gonna grow, then I go plant. I go sow.
Yeah.
But if it's not ready, then I let it be. Because at this level and at this time in my lifetime, I have enough wisdom where I know. It's like, if I was a boxer, I know how to accurately punch. I'm not just gonna punch the air.
Yeah.
Because if I'm punching the air, that means that energy should be used to actually punch the target. And it might not be that person. It might be that person over there. But if I'm missing over here, why am I not putting that energy where it should go?
Do you feel like at any point, and maybe not now, possibly in the past though, you've encountered instances where, okay, I'm giving and it doesn't seem to be resonating. I'm giving and it doesn't seem to be resonating. Because I feel like if individuals at least do the attempt, and specifically I'm talking about myself too, forget about like them not receiving. Just give.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Just imagine, like you have to understand that. Let's say there's the type of individual that if I put my words into that individual and value, right, then the crowd around them is gonna automatically regress them. Then there's another individuals that if I put words and value inside them, they're gonna do great and they're gonna be joyful. But at the first sign of challenge and obstacle, they revert because their courage isn't in their heart yet. Then you got the third type of individual where you pour the words and the value into them, and then as soon as they get what they want, like the girlfriend, like the job, the riches, unfortunately, this is the type of individual, like, let's say they love fame, validation, recognition, money. And the problem with loving money is this, right? That you end up using people. You end up doing that. You can be deceitful. You could be wicked for the love of money. And the best thing to find is just good soil where you put you pour in the value, you pour in the wisdom, and they actually use it. And then they grow. And these are the type of people that love people. But they end up being successful with money anyway because money's a tool. And because they love people and they're servicing people, people are going to take care of them. And then they're going to use that tool to help even more people. Yeah. And they're going to live altruistically, with integrity in their hearts, the right disposition of the heart. And life is constant, trials that we have to endure. It's a part of it. That's what shapes us. That's what makes us strong. And then your heart keeps growing. But that is the hope that we have in the world, the people who are willing to endure the trials and become stronger so then that they may go back and tell others about the different worlds and lands that they explored. Those worlds and lands could be whether contracts, companies, whatever you want to call it, whatever endeavors that they've never done before. But then they come back and they're able to tell their stories in their environments. And that's the hope. Because the ones who have the right disposition of heart, they're going to go out and do the same. And the ones who aren't ready, they're at least going to, keep moving towards courage until they can find it. Because ultimately we need to get to a place where people have self-confidence and self-belief. Without those two traits, you cannot manifest. So that's the goal. The goal is to build healthy, happy, confident people that inspire others.
Yes, that's beautiful. And I think we've definitely got to cover the fact that that's something that you've got to believe yourself first. Before anybody else can believe it, you've got to internalize that for yourself.
It has to be unshakable faith. Just, imagine, right? Look at this gym around us. It used to not exist, right? This gym was first thought of here, then it got put in my mind, and now we took it from inside me, and now I look at it in the physical world.
Yeah.
Look all around you.
Yeah.
Right? So that was belief and faith.
Yeah.
And that's the evidence that it works. Yeah. Where before I went to schools, I was like, I talked about it before I even did it. Before I became a speaker, I talked about it before I did it. Author, talked about it before I did it. Corporate consultant, talked about it before I did it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, everything starts here first with your passion, then you visualize it,
Yeah.
and then you bring it into the physical world. But the beautiful part is that the ultimate understanding is that you can only manifest these things if you're looking to serve people, if you're looking to help people. We do become what we believe.
Yeah. That's powerful. I mean, in that sense, it all circles back to people. It all comes back.
Connectivity and engagement. You gotta connect with people and you gotta engage with people.
That's fascinating. It all comes back.
The ultimate understanding about life is that life is meant for loving. That has to be your expression at all times. And if we are all creators, then it's about aligning visions. Because no one person can do anything alone.
Yeah.
But a group of people, you can do anything. So what happens when we continue to inspire each other? Continue to create together. And what happens when the years go by and the relationships grow and the resources grow? So life is simple. You get a group of people, you solve a problem, right? You come up with a solution, and then now there's more problems because with every solution comes more problems. And you get, as you guys grow, you keep picking bigger problems and bigger battles to help the world, to contribute to the world. And beautiful part is we live alongside each other. And lastly, we leave the world better than when we found it.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know if it was in the video or maybe in the book, because I've been reading a lot lately. It mentions that though. It's like, don't stop at that challenge that you've just accomplished, and understand that, okay, at some point you celebrate, you rejoice, but then understanding that you have to have the courageousness within you to find the next great challenge.
Yeah, that's the comfort zone. Hence, people being comfortable. We gotta constantly get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And get this for the rest of our lives.
Yeah. Man, that's incredible. So much to offer today. And for everyone that was here, again, I just want to thank you. We are what we believe.